Hello and welcome to a video about presenting YouTube videos. Maybe that's why my mum says I don't have a real job. Bruh. What I just did there is called a pattern break, and it forms part of the second rule of my 10 simple rules for presenting YouTube videos. I'm not going to tell you what rule 2 is yet, and you'll find out just why in a second. First, rule 1, obviously. Rule 1 is give people a solid reason to keep watching the video in the first 30 seconds. An example of this could be something like, by the end of this video, you'll know how to make YouTube videos that get hundreds of thousands of views, and you'll know my most successful method for keeping people engaged for as long as possible.
Yeah, that sounds good.
This is all getting quite meta now, but that is genuinely what I'm trying to do in this video, and that is an example of a hook. It's super important to have a hook in the first 30 seconds, and hopefully that one made you want to keep watching this video. But as with some great pop songs, you can actually have more than one hook, which brings us on to point 2. Rule 2 is to use micro hooks throughout your video, little tiny teeny hooks. Can I just get an action replay, please?
What I just did there is called a pattern break, and it forms part of the second rule of my 10 simple rules for presenting YouTube videos. I'm not going to tell you what rule 2 is yet, and you'll find out just why in a second.
Micro hooks are designed to do two things: to cue up something you're going to be talking about later on in the video, and to make people want to keep watching your video until at least that point. Another example of a micro hook could be something like me saying, the fourth rule in this video is actually the rule that I use the most often and that gives me the most success. That is going to be something that makes you want to watch that fourth rule. By the way, I just made that up. I can't actually remember what rule 4 is right now, so I'm just chatting. It's just little things like that that make people want to keep watching and don't mean that your main hook at the beginning of the video has to do all of the heavy lifting. The reason that this is so important is that engagement time is the #1 metric that YouTube uses to determine the quality of your video and therefore how many people to show it to.
Quality all the way.
So earlier on, the actual method I used for that micro hook is called a pattern break. So my third rule in this video also follows on from what I did right at the start of the video. My third rule is
master the pattern break.
A pattern break is something that purposely disrupts the flow of a video so that the viewer doesn't get bored or distracted or start playing with their phone. Generally, I try to include pattern breaks in my videos every 30 to 60 seconds. It's pretty much the same thing as the Daily Mail putting a photo in their article every 5 paragraphs, or if you're watching Friends, a scene will typically only last for 1 minute.
We were on a break!
As humans, we have short attention spans. That's just the reality of the situation.
Boring. Delete.
And so what are some examples of good pattern breaks? Well, it could be a joke or a cutaway, or it could be an awkward moment, or it could just be breaking character and slowly drifting off while you think about something else. I do that all the time.
I do that.
This video is actually due a pattern break right now, so I'm going to do a joke. What's the most important aspect of comedy? Timing. My fourth rule is to master speed changes in your delivery. Nobody ever talks consistently at the same pace. It would be really boring if they did.
Slow down.
When you need to make a really important point. I really need you to listen to this. See, you just started listening to me. But then you can also speed up a little bit if you're doing something like giving background information on a topic that some of your viewers might already know about, so you don't lose them. You can also talk quickly to be passionate about something or angry about something, like the rising cost of beer, or the rising cost of fuel, or the rising cost of houses, or the rising cost of cars, or the rising cost of anger management therapy. Rule 5 is to not just change the speed of your delivery, but to change the intonation of your delivery. It should be up and down like a rolling English countryside, but just without the cows. Nobody will ever pay attention if you have a monotonous voice. But also people will get really, really annoyed if you just talk excitedly all the time throughout the video. The right thing to do is roll between the higher and the lower parts of your register, because that will keep people interested. Rule 6 is to use your head, your face and your body, not just your mouth. That sounds so dodgy. Imagine if you and I were having a conversation and the whole time I didn't move my head, I kept my eyes staring straight at you and I just talked at you.
It makes me feel uncomfortable.
Hi, how are you today? Oh, that's nice. What did you do last night? That's incredibly creepy.
A little bit.
So make sure that you move your head, You move your hands, you move your eyes around. If you're trying to think of a number, it's fine to look up into the corner. Even if you know the number, pretend that you're trying to think of that number. Rule 7 is to break your video down into snackable chunks of 1 minute or less. And for reference, I find that 1 minute of dialogue tends to be about 1/3 to a half of a Google Docs page in Arial 11. I try to make sure that I'm changing the subject, or at least changing the point I'm making, every minute. You don't have to do this in a super overt way like I've done in this video, where it's a list format, so it has natural breaks between every number on the list. There are many different ways to do it. It could be as simple as changing the music slightly after a minute to slightly tweak the mood, or it could just be as simple as introducing a new thought or idea. Using this method, I managed to get 6 to 7 minute average watch times on my videos, and as I said earlier, that's the single most important factor for your video getting into the YouTube recommended or browse features feed. The other most important feature is the click-through rate, and we'll talk about that in other videos. And now rule 8. Rule 8 is that silence is actually golden.
Silence!
But even a split second of silence at the right point in a sentence can hold attention. I'm doing it right now. I'm introducing tiny pauses into my sentences so that it sounds like I'm talking about something really important.
You could have fooled us.
You can also use silence for comedic effect. If you do this, make sure you cut the background music as well. So you can make a terribly awkward joke and then just cut the background music and have an awkward moment. Rule 9 is to reveal a bit of yourself. Well, that's not right. Rule 9 is reveal something about yourself. And what I mean is that it's important to get your personality and your character across to your audience. People buy into personalities on YouTube, and the more that they think they know you, the more that they'll buy into you and trust you. This doesn't mean you need to tell them your PIN number or which celebrity you've had a crush on since you were 14 years old, Christian Bale. It just means that you need to be personable enough to get them to buy into you. My only way of doing that, because I desperately seek positive reinforcement at all times, is to be a clown and try and make people laugh. When it comes to that character building and which of your character traits and personality traits that you want to put front and center, really it's just about picking them from your actual real life personality. Some people will like those personality traits and some people won't. And there's nowhere that's more true than on YouTube. But it's really hard to build a following without making it clear who you are and what you stand for. And finally, my last rule, rule 10, which is to always watch your videos back after you publish them, but be kind to yourself. When I look back on the first video I ever made, I genuinely cringe. To be fair, whenever I look at any of my videos, I cringe, but that's because I'm an idiot. I'm sure you're not an idiot and that you'll be totally fine. It's a really important part of the process to watch your videos back. Make sure you do this after it's published and released into the wide world, because that's the point. You can't change anything even if you want to. So you're forced to think about what you'll do better next time. Do things like make a note of where you got a little bit bored, rewatch that section and actually break down why you think you got bored as an audience member. It could actually be because you went too long without implementing any of the rules in this video. But as I said, be kind to yourself and also make a note of the things you liked and do more of that stuff next time. Presenting YouTube videos is really hard. You don't have a producer or a director in the room telling you what to do and giving you advice, so you have to be your own harshest critic. But don't be too harsh. It takes a lot of practice to make perfect. The main thing is, if you're passionate about your subject, you're self-analytical and you have the drive to make YouTube videos and you want them to be watched by hundreds of thousands of people, then you will succeed in the end. It's just a matter of time and effort on YouTube and you will get better. Above all, if I can do it, then literally anybody can. So actually, that's a bit of a bonus tip of mine. Just go for it.
Just do it!
The worst thing that can happen is if you put a video out there, it gets viewed by nobody. You just unlist it and then you try again. The best thing that can happen is it gets watched by loads of people and then you get some subscribers and you get loads of views. Just go for it. And when you do create your channel, please let me know what it is. Reach out, get in touch. I'd love to subscribe to your channel and see what use you made of this video. Good luck and be good to yourself. Thanks for watching.